Hey, young girl, we are back with a new episode this week. I want to start by saying thank you to who all have been watching, listening, sharing, commenting on the platforms. The podcast is streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your or stream your podcast. Please subscribe, leave a comment. I really would appreciate it. And again, thank you. So, today I want to talk about growth. Growth can be a beautiful thing, but it can also be very challenging and discouraging, but it is worth it. If you keep going, you will always see that growth leads to major changes in your life, major upgrades, and you want to always continue to grow and learn and be a better version of you because you are your only competition, right? So, growth can look like you, being silent when you used to be very loud. Growth can be, getting a small pay raise, you know, and growth can also be you sticking to your plan, staying disciplined, where you may have started a plan and you fell off after a couple of months. Growth can be if you were a student that had, C's and D's and you are now upgraded to A's and B's, you know, and you can always look at your progress as your measuring stick, right? Where were you a year before or 2 years before, right? And even if you didn't make major strides in your goals, take all of your small wins. And it doesn't have to be where you're getting this validation and your ego is stroked. That's the only way that you can see growth, right? If somebody is patting you on the back or giving you a high five or celebrating you in some kind of way, you're not going to always get that validation. So you got to still want to grow. You still have to learn, and sometimes that means getting out of your comfort zones, doing something differently than what you're used to. Maybe getting advice from somebody that has, you know, excelled in something that you're looking to do, right? It can't always be, someone that is to the left and the right of you because maybe, y'all are all on the same level, but you're trying to go up to the next level, right? So you can't let your ego or your pride stop you from, reaching out to somebody that may be currently above where you are. You can't look at it like, oh, I'm not gonna, take advice from them. They think they all that or whatnot, right? But they're currently living the life or have that degree or have lost the weight or whatever it is that goal they've met that you're trying to reach. You got to let that ego die and that pride die so you can go ahead and elevate, right? You can't be the person that is unteachable. You got to be able to, you know, learn something new and try to do things differently, especially if you never saw any growth before doing the same thing that you were already doing. You got to kind of tweak it a little bit and really, really be honest with yourself and see where you are lacking at. And, to be able to do that, sometimes you need to isolate yourself and quiet out all of the noise, right? When you start to clean out a lot of the naysayers or, a lot of your bad habits and, a lot of distractions, how we were talking about spring cleaning, once you're able to clean all of that clutter out, whether it be noise, whether it be social media, whether it be, bad advice from people that don't want you to elevate, you got to be able to have discernment and decide what you're going to take in to be able to produce the outcome that you are looking for. If you constantly bumping your head, constantly stubbing your toe or whatever, because you are doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So, you got to try to do some things differently. And to do that, you need to educate yourself. try something. Don't be afraid to try something new, or learn something new. There's so many times where people are afraid to try anything and they're wondering why they're not growing. You can't be afraid to fail either. So many times you gonna try something that may not work. It may not work for you. It may not be at the right time. It just might not be for you, but you won't know that until you at least try, right? You gotta always, a lot of people scared to start from scratch. A lot of times you're going to have to start over many and many times, however many times it takes to look and see the growth that you want out of life, right? You got to take some risk and get over the fear. But in the meantime, you don't want to, you know, lose yourself and lose integrity and your kindness and things like that, chasing something. If it's causing you to lose yourself and be in confusion and things like that, that might not be the way that you're going to go. you know Things may happen, but if it's a constant confusion, a constant problem, maybe you need to pivot and do something a little differently, or maybe clean out some more clutter or some more people or some things like that in order for you to continue to grow, right? You are your own competition, and growth is always a beautiful thing. Like I said last week, sunny days, we all love them, right? But can you handle the rain? Can you get wet and come out on that other end and dry yourself off and come out into that sun again because you didn't give up? Or you gonna stay in the clouds and in the rain and feel like, oh, woe is me, I just keep getting wet, I just keep getting rained on, so this must not be meant for me, I'm gonna just go ahead and stop, and then still just be in the same place you were last year. You're gonna end up being resentful of yourself, not going after your growth, your goals, and you know, just staying stagnant. Growth is a beautiful thing. You at least give yourself a chance to try to grow. That's all I'm saying, y'all. Growth is a beautiful thing. Never stop learning, never stop growing. And I'll see y'all next week. Bye.